Right down the street from you. I'm in Houston too.
What part of Houston you in?
Sugarland.
Oh yeah, I'm in Spring, so we're on opposite ends. Yeah.
So when do we do lunch? My treat.
Well, look, we got to see how the show goes first. We can't just throw out lunch invitations.
Somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
I certainly can throw out lunch, and no one invited you, so don't worry about it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here on Facebook and Twitter. I am Michael, the Hebrew Hammer Brown, and I am now staving away off any woman who ever would want to date me after wearing this shirt. But I had to bring out Pops. Good to see you. We get the pleasure of being joined by six-time Pro Bowler, two-time first-team, two-time second-team All-NFL Richmond Webb, drafted by America's Miami Dolphins. Mr. Webb, how are you? Great to have you on Beer Sports Whatever 165.
Michael, Lewis, how y'all doing? I'm glad to be here. Y'all doing all right?
It's an honor to have you.
Well, you know, the Dolphins are 1-5, which means that
1-4.
Sorry, 1-4. My sincerest of apologies. As we like to say here on BSW, Mr. Webb, the refs have screwed us out of at least 3 or 4 of those wins. Because we, you know, it's a little touch and go. Look, let me start off here, right? When Tua comes back this weekend, does he solve the Dolphins' problems, or does this go deeper than the quarterback position, in your opinion?
Well, I think it definitely helps to get your starting quarterback back. One of the other issues we had was, you know, the offensive line play, but watching them this week against Tampa Bay, they moved Liam Ockenberg to left tackle and slid Jackson down the guard, and that really seemed like that they played a lot more consistent. So it seems like they're kind of figuring out the 5 guys they can go with, and they played much better. But I'll be happy to see Mr. Tua back in the huddle. I think that'll be a good thing for the Dolphins.
Didn't you think once we got rid of Brady and Gronkowski and all those guys that, okay, we finally got rid of them, and then here comes Buffalo?
No question. You know, Josh Allen, then they acquired Diggs from Minnesota. You know, they got a good defense, but, you know, you've watched Josh Allen the last 3 years. You've seen how he's improved every year, kind of more dual threat quarterback. You know, if he can't beat you throwing, sometimes he can scramble and run and get the first down. So, but they're playing really good football, and like you said, you get rid of New England, and then now all of a sudden Buffalo emerges. They're ahead again. So,
right.
But I love the competition. I think we're building it the right way. We just got to fix a few things and get hitting on all cylinders, and I think we can be real competitive with Buffalo.
All right.
We got to put this on the table for one of our dear listeners who is a big Aggie. We'll get congrats to your Texas A&M Aggies for probably one of the greatest wins in school history. Is that a fair sentiment to say that it's a top 3 win all time for the Aggies?
It was a huge win. You know, we lost our starting quarterback, and we've had a lot of injuries in the offensive line. So I think a lot of people had high expectations for Texas A&M. So I think this is the first game that all 3 phases of, you know, offense, defense, and the kicking game that really came together. But this is the expectation, you know, I think everybody had. I even had that, you know, going into this Alabama game, I would have figured we would have been, you know, maybe undefeated or possibly, you know, a 1-loss team, but losing to Arkansas and then following up Mississippi State, that definitely hurt. But it shows, I think Calzada, the quarterback, finally settled down and played his best game. So if he can continue to play like that, you know, maybe 1 loss down, I think we could possibly win out. But if they continue to play like that, I think maybe 1 loss, but I think we could possibly win out, and might not make it in there this year due to the 2 losses. I know it's going to be tough, but we'll be in that conversation again if they continue to play the way they're playing right now.
Can you watch that type of game with friends and family, like as an ex-player? Or do you have to watch that game in like solitude, like dark room, big TV, don't talk to me, like I'm just watching the game?
No,
Like, where do you fall in that spectrum of like,
if
I can't lose a family member over what I'm about to say watching this game?
Yeah, as long as you're not pulling for another team, it's okay. But actually, we were at that game, so my hearing came back Sunday evening. But I mean, it was loud. I'm telling you, it was a great game to be in attendance for, and even though everybody kind of, I figured the students were going to rush the field if their guy made the field goal, and he did, and it was just great for Texas A&M. I think it's definitely great. Winning a game like that, I think it's going to pay huge dividends as long as we remain focused. And also, I think it's going to pay huge dividends because there were a lot of recruits at that game. And to see the atmosphere, the type of thing you can play in, and then to win against, number one team in the country, that can sway a lot of kids to possibly say, well, I might come here, but now they're really considering coming here. So
what a great atmosphere. That I know UT had like 90 recruits at the game that day. And I guess the only saving grace is that most of those kids got to figure, hey, we could step in and play next year right away. So there you go.
Well, that and you can make a difference. Sarkisian, which is another one of, Nick Saban's coaches that, not only does he develop players for the next level, his coaches seem to tend to develop to become good head coaches around, whether most of them is college, but I'm sure if they want to go in the NFL,
right
there. But that's when you're doing some things right, when you develop not only kids but your coaches how to approach the game and how to become a head coach. It's just he does an excellent job down in Alabama.
Absolutely.
I gotta ask because I have an Aggie and I've got a Longhorn. I went to the University of Houston. Do y'all believe that there's just something missing? Mr. Webb, you go first. Without Texas playing Texas A&M every year, like it feels like college football, like the equilibrium is off. Like they need to be playing every year because of games like Texas and OU, Texas A&M, Michigan, Ohio State. Like college football feels off. When you played at A&M, was the Texas game, the game that y'all looked at and said, we can go 1-11, but if we beat Texas, it's we're good.
Well, that was the rivalry. That was old Southwest Conference days when I played, and then you go back. It was like you say, Texas, Oklahoma, or in the Southwest Conference, probably Texas, A&M. Big Eight was Oklahoma, Nebraska, Auburn, Alabama, Florida State, Miami. Michigan, Ohio. It was that type of magnitude,
right,
that surrounded that game. So the good thing is, Texas and Oklahoma are joining the SEC. So we got probably 3 or 4 years, but I'm sure that rivalry will be rekindled, and it won't take much to get that going.
Dad, maybe at least see that game.
At least Texas might win basketball once they get to the SEC.
Well, we had to make some adjustments as well. It's just, the style of football, they play is a physical style of football. Most of the teams, that, we had to adjust. I'm sure you'll adjust as well, what it takes to compete. And I know Texas is going to want to be competitive, regardless of what conference they're in or whatever. So I'm sure they'll make the necessary adjustments.
University of Houston, we're good. We'll just step into the Big 12. We'll take, we'll take anything, no problem at all. Based out of Houston, you're an Astros fan, I take it, Rich? Yes.
Playing the Sox, is it tonight?
They play Friday, 7 o'clock. First pitch.
Yeah, I know they close out the first series, and that one's next. So
it feels good. This is what it feels like to be a fan of a team that's great. You go to 5 straight, ALCSs. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's dominance. To be a part of that, and that was the thing. Even with the, we're here in Houston, but the thing, even with the Texans, they would have some really good seasons and then get to the playoffs and maybe win one game or lose. And I always said that if they could win it or really go deep in the playoffs, the city would just really embrace that because they've been waiting on that. And so Houston's a good sports town. I tell people that all the time. It's just,
is it your favorite? You played in the NFL for 10 plus years. You've seen different atmospheres. is Houston, like, where do you rank the city of Houston just passion-wise? Like, talking to fans, talking to, ex-athletes, like, where are we? What are we? What are we as a city amongst, atmosphere and fans? Where would you rank the city of Houston?
Well, I think it's great fans here, and I think just knowing, like, it's more to me to being a fan. I think it's just good people here in Houston, really friendly, really embracing. You can almost have a conversation with most people, whether you know them or not. So with the type of character, the people that I've met here, interacted with, I just know it would be good for the fan bases. And that's why you see the way, people go crazy for the Astros. I can remember back when the Rockets, went back to back, we was raising the roof, this and that. And Houston was a crazy town. And then they had the women,
the Comets.
The Comets, and they went like 3 or 4 in a row.
Five titles.
5 titles. Okay.
5 titles.
I
give him the credit.
Chancellor, he still lives here, I think, in the Katy area. So I had an opportunity to talk to him, but you just see how they embrace teams when they do that. So that's why I say it would be, as an athlete, it would be tremendous if you get it accomplished.
Let me ask you a question. The situation going on in Vegas right now, I want to get your take, not necessarily on the situation itself. What do you think the locker room dynamic is like right now in Las Vegas with Gruden stepping out, their assistant coach, basically stepping into just a huge situation. All eyes are on him. Do you think in the modern day locker room that is a situation that can be handled with the right individual at the helm, or do you think this is basically a lost season for Las Vegas? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it can be handled. Most of the time, you got your head coach, but if you got 2 strong coordinators, and the first thing is you got to kind of let the story die down and stop focusing on, Coach John Gruden and, the allegations and all that, and focus on, okay, are we playing the Chargers this week, or we got the Chiefs? You got to get refocused back to football, because if not, you can lose 2 or 3 games that you possibly could have won. You don't pay so much attention now, but later on in the year when you reflect back and say, hey, if we would have really focused in and won another game or 2, we possibly be in the playoffs. So I think the thing is, whoever takes over the helm up there in Las Vegas is trying to keep the team focused. The media is not going to let it die down that quick. Try to answer the questions, move on, and get ready for whoever you got to play that week. That would be my suggestion to them.
I gotta ask you something. What was it like being around Dan Marino? I mean, look, is he just like, I think the world of the guy. I don't think they make guys like that, guys who stay with the same team his entire career. You look now. What are your feelings about a guy? First of all, I want to ask you about Dan Marino, but also about what do you think about guys who just don't stay with teams very long anymore? Are you a fan of that? Are you a fan of, guys being able to just jump ship after a couple of years? Like, I feel like the era of guys like Marino are just gone. Obviously the money is bigger and greater now, but what are your thoughts, A, about, being around a guy like Marino, and B, about the modern day, we'll call it quarterback, they're just following the money. What are your thoughts?
Where the game changed, kind of transitioned a few years after I got in the league. That's when, Player Association sued the league to have free agency to where, they could, go from team to team or whatever. And, back then, before that, the team had all your rights, so you could only negotiate with that team, and your value could be more than what they wanted to pay you, but unless they were willing to trade you, or, they didn't necessarily have to meet that number. Well, now with free agency, it gives you an opportunity. I think most guys would want to possibly stay with the organization that they probably started with, as long as it's a good thing. But, even at times, the organization has to make a decision and say, okay, you give a guy a big contract, and then after 3 or 4 years, his cap numbers just gets too high. It's not that they don't want to keep him, but the way it's structured and everything, you might have to release that guy and he goes somewhere else. So that's just kind of modern day sports, and it's not just football. It's it's affected basketball and the other ones as well. But I understand what you're saying, because before you used to could, if a guy got drafted to the Dolphins or to the Oilers or whatever, you could learn those players, and those players were pretty much there. But now, like you said, guy could be here 2 years and then might go to Chicago, and then he's over to the Washington football team, and then he's back with the Rams. So it's different, but yeah, you just old school. That's what it is. I get you, bro.
Yeah, Dan.
I think it is old. I mean, if you look at the guys back out of the Marino draft, you got Marino, you had Elway, you had Jim Kelly. They all stayed put. And, like I remember numerous off seasons when Marino would redo or rework his contract to free up some money so y'all could just keep getting better and better. You don't see that anymore, Richmond. You don't see that dedication anymore.
Well, like you said, and Tom Brady did that, but it's just the game has changed, because even now, most of the time, if you had a quarterback, that would be your cornerstone player. And now, after 2 or 3 years, if they don't think that guy works out, they either trade and get rid of him and go get another one in the draft. So,
yep,
the game is on both sides. It's just totally different. The way we remember it back in the day, it's no longer that way.
Do you think, but I think this is a piggybacking off of that. I miss rivalries in sports. Like, not just the NFL. I'm talking about old school. I don't know how big of a basketball fan you are. When the Kings used to play the Lakers, right? Like that, I don't want to beat you. I want to destroy you. I want to throw you into the ground and not let you breathe, sort of, rivalry. There's no, what is the rivalry in the NFL right now? What is the biggest rivalry in the NFL is my question. Like, what, Kansas City and Buffalo? I mean, that's not a rivalry. You know what I mean? Like,
they've adjusted the it used to be just three divisions: AFC West, East, AFC West, Central, and the East. And now the North South. You got the North, South, East, and West, and then most of the teams are left together, but a couple of them got restructured, and it's different. I think sometimes, like Pittsburgh, Baltimore, you still get some pretty good rivalry games, but it's not like some of them are not like it used to. Like it used to be back in the day, you already knew when the game, like, Miami and the Buffalo Bills or Miami and the Jets, we just nobody liked each other.
Yep.
So it's different.
I still don't like them.
All right, so we have an audience question. Who is the nastiest defensive line you ever went against in the NFL? Do you recollect like a game or like a dude that just you hated going up against?
One of the best I think I played against was I think that was our rookie year. We played the Philadelphia Eagles, and they had Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, Reggie White, and Mike Golick. And then I think we also played the Minnesota Vikings. They had Chris Dolman. I'm trying to remember the other guys. John Randall. Trying to remember the other two guys on the other side. But just one of those front fours where everybody's kind of singled up. You can't really double a guy because the guy in front of the other guy is just as dominant. But they weren't really nasty. They were just like really, really good, four. So, yeah.
Let me ask you, just honestly, do you feel like social media has ruined professional sports for old souls like myself? I mean, I turned 31 in 3 weeks. I feel like social media is just ruined like the specialness of professional sports. Like it's no longer like you're going to see a game and you're seeing guys that you look up to and you don't know anything about except the fact that they're just great athletes. Like now you just, somebody walks out of their front door the wrong way. There's 12 different Twitter reports. Hey, this guy, he was seen going to McDonald's. Why is he not going to Wendy's? Why, like, in your opinion, like, do you think that social media has impacted the professional sports world in a negative way, like I do?
I do. I think, but I think people crave information, and even like I can remember when I was a small kid. I'm older than you, but I remember when TV used to go off, and you would see the American flag, and then the things would go like, "Bloop." That'd be like midnight. Now everything is 24 hours. It's nonstop. You got NFL Network. You got ESPN has probably 4 or 5 channels, and you got people on Twitter, Instagram, all these social media studies just pump out, and people just want to know more and more and more. And the more they think they know, as far as information, then they go share it with other people to make it. I guess it makes them feel important that they really think they know what they're talking about. And sometimes everything that's being reported is not necessarily true. So yeah.
Richmond, I want you to know I'm going to cut that audio that you just did with the TV at the end.
Yeah.
That's probably how we're going to introduce the show, from the sound that you just made.
Like
that honestly might just be how we intro the show from now on.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that. Like, you're going to be a part of like Beer Sports Whatever lore forever.
If you can find that, I'm telling you, TV, I'm sure your dad, Lewis, remembers that, but TV used to go off about midnight. That was it.
Well, Dad was
Richmond,
there.
I'm older than you, so I remember after standing up for the national anthem at like 1 a.m., then all of a sudden it just went static, and that was it.
That was it.
That's right.
This is ridiculous.
Yes, Michael, we did have TV back then, yes.
Well, no, I'm just shocked. You've told me when you go to the movie theater and, they didn't have words and they were just doing the black and white, thing. It was fine. You know what I mean? Richmond, let me ask you a question. Give me your 3 favorite Halloween candies, because I feel like this is a conversation that can break up families if this goes wrong. So look, in the Brown household, yes, absolutely. Okay. Because I have a hot take that we put out earlier today. I'm going to let you name your 3, and then I'm going to go into my hot take, and you're going to tell me if you like it or you hate it.
Okay.
What are your top 3 in order?
I'm a chocolate man, so
okay.
I like the candy bars. So my top 3 would probably be Snickers, M&M, and Reese's cups.
Okay. All right. So you go cups, not pieces.
Cups, not pieces. Yes, sir.
Okay. And you go. Look, here's the thing. Okay, what kind of M&Ms? The peanut, the pretzel,
peanuts. Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. Here's my hot take. I think Snickers bar is the most overrated candy in the entire realm. I don't get it, man. I don't. Look, here's the thing.
That's you.
Well,
I mean, everybody's entitled to an opinion, but I got you.
Well, no, I mean, I'm entitled to the right opinion. Look, it's okay. We can still look. We're at this point, we're family. All right, you've done a Beer Sports Whatever episode. We're still family.
We're still good. You done told me what you don't like, but give me your top 3.
Look, you got to put a Kit Kat up there. It's delicious. Okay. All right, it's refreshing.
Okay.
I go a Crunch bar. I think is delicious.
Oh, I like Crunch. Yeah. Okay.
Old school Hershey's chocolate bar. Just straight milk chocolate.
Okay. Well, that's chocolate. You ain't gonna get no argument from me on all those 3. So yeah, you good.
I think all 3 of us can agree that Austin is wrong. You don't put Whoppers in a top 3 of a Halloween candy. You don't do that. You can't look at a top 3 list and say, "Oh, look, I'm going to put Whoppers on there." It's ridiculous.
When was the last time somebody trick or treated and they looked in their bag and go, "Oh, thanks for the Whoppers"? Come on, no.
Dad, what are your top 3 quickly?
Well, we did have candy back then too, Michael.
Yes, I'm aware.
We used to churn it out back, but I'm going with Heath Bar.
Okay.
If I had any solid teeth left, I'm going Sugar Babies.
I love me some Sugar Babies.
Yes, and your teeth are a lot stronger than mine. And I'm going, you know what? I'm going.
Well, it can't get any worse than your first 2.
3 Musketeers, baby. Yes,
I don't see why y'all arguing in the household. It's still chocolate. What's going on over there?
Well, Rich, look, we don't have enough time to go into that. We're going to invite you back for a show. Let me ask you a couple quick questions. We're going to wrap the show up here in a few minutes. You're a very busy man. Is Georgia the best team in college football right now? Because I think they are by far just unbeatable. They look unbeatable to me.
I still think Georgia, Alabama. I mean, they lost a tough game on the road. they lost by 3 points on the road in a hostile environment. And I think the reason they dropped to maybe 5 or 6 is because Texas A&M wasn't ranked. But Georgia has a very good football team. I think probably SEC championship is probably going to be Alabama versus Georgia.
I'm in for Georgia, Alabama.
Absolutely.
If Georgia still has to play Florida. Florida got a good football team. I watched them play Alabama, so I think that's going to be a pretty good game too.
Do you have a player in college football right now that you tune into specifically watch? I feel like this year, star power is a little bit down. It may just be me, but there's not. You have Malik Willis at Liberty. You've got the wide receiver from Alabama who showed out against A&M. He looked phenomenal. But do you have a guy that you look to and you're like, I'm going to tune in every week to watch that dude?
Now, I watch a lot of SEC, but I just like good matchups. So a few weeks ago, I think that was second week of the season, when Oregon surprised Ohio State and they played at Ohio State. That was good. And then I think it was a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Auburn played Penn State at Penn State. It was the all-whiteout game. I like watching that. That's pretty cool. I like college football games. They have different little deals like that. That was a good football game. And then I watched who was I watched Georgia against? Oh, Georgia versus Clemson, the first game. That was a good game. So
do you like the defensive battle? Are you a fan of the 10-7 game?
Yeah, I like to see a closer matchup rather than I don't like just a score. Yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah, teams that give up 53 points. Yeah.
I'm not gonna comment on that. That sounds.
Comment, Richmond. Come on, you gotta comment. You can't just leave it. He literally is leaving it out there. He teed it up.
Richmond, that was a softball to
Come
you,
on,
baby.
you gotta hit it. Oh my God, man! I can't believe you didn't.
He threw the fastball right across the plate. I should have swung at it. I was like, man.
Do you remember when you played for Miami? What game was just the most craziest crowd in Miami? Can you remember a game where you thought I can't even hear the play call?
Not so much in Miami. When we used to go to Buffalo, it would get pretty loud. We would go to the Meadowlands to play the Jets at times. It could get, and they had. I can't remember. I think the guy name is Fireman Ed or whatever, but he used to lead the deal, and he could get it going. And New England, they would crack jokes on you before the game, stuff like that.
Not that Brian Cox didn't stir it up wherever he went,
Yeah, B. Cox, my man.
Cox.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that at 9 years old, I went to a Dolphins-Jets game in Miami, and a Jets fan threw a hot dog at me while wearing a Dan Marino jersey. And I never washed the Dan Marino jersey, and it still has the mustard stain on it.
Yep.
So, want you to know that, Mr. Webb.
All
right, Richmond, that's beer, sports, whatever, my man.
Two questions real quick.
2 questions. You get 2, and then we wrap it up.
Richmond, Michael and I are going a week from Sunday with my beautiful wife, Michael's beautiful mother. We're going to Dolphins, Falcons, and what 2 players does your Ring of Honor name sit between?
Oh, I'm over there with the offensive lineman. I think it sits between. Is it Dwight Stevenson and? If you wouldn't have asked me that,
I'm going to take a picture and send it to you. I'm going to take a picture.
Yeah, but I know I went in with Dick Anderson. We got inducted at the same time.
It was Christmas Day. I think it was 06, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Why? Wait. Why do you know that, Dad? In what world do you need to know that specific date?
Have you been in my room, Michael, upstairs?
That's true. Yeah. All right. That's totally understandable.
So favorite Marino Shula blow up between each other. Can you remember one?
Oh, that was every day in practice. That was the thing with Coach Shula. When I got there, it was Dan's 7th or 8th year, and me and Keith came in, and just to walk in the huddle, you had Marino, then you had Duper Clayton. those guys were very disciplined. You saw guys that had been in the league and how hard they worked and how they worked to communicate to, as far as the route precision, this and that, and then would come back and communicate and be like, okay, if they do this time, we'll do this and that. And they were on just one page. So you understood very early why they had so much success.
Yeah.
And, if you wasn't going to buy in, you wasn't going to be there. So the bar was set high from the time we got there. And I think that's why Coach Shula had so much success is he demanded excellence. You had to know your plays. He was a stickler on not, having a bunch of penalties to beat you because that would stop drives and stuff like that. And you learn those little things. Sometimes it seemed like he would just be nagging at them, but the transitions over in your life, even after football. And I think it wasn't just for playing. It was actually for, how you approach life. And,
Yep.
I'm forever grateful for that. Yeah.
Was it your second or your third year when Keith Jackson, when they had signed Keith Jackson? I think
it was my third year.
So, okay. That team was loaded. I mean, that offense was crazy good, except for running back, right?
Yeah, well, with Marino, we get criticized a lot, but, I tell people, even though they brought me and Keith in, I came from Texas A&M and Keith came from
Oklahoma
State, and we were, run dominant in college and this and that, and they like, you didn't run the ball. I'm like, well, we really wasn't brought there. We was brought they wasn't going to change the game plan because we got there. And once you kind of understood that, but people don't really look at it and say, well, you couldn't run the ball. I'm like, we wasn't going to run the ball because we had Dan Marino.
Yeah.
He was so good at throwing the football, it just gave him time to do what he did best.
You were talking about Keith Sims, right?
My man Keith Sims.
Oh, yeah. Number 69.
Right. That's it.
All right, before we wrap up, Astros or Red Sox, and in how many games, Rich?
I'm going that should be a pretty good series. I'm going Astros in 6.
Yes, because if you said the Red Sox, you were never invited back on Beer Sports, whatever, ever again.
No, actually, Michael, he would have been, and you wouldn't have been invited back on. So
that's true. You know what? I may lose. Y'all make a good team. You know what? I may just step aside. You never hear from me again.
Richmond Webb, Lewis Brown, host of Beer Sports and whatever. There you go.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what he wants on his resume: Ring of Honor and then Beer Sports whatever host. Yeah, I'm sure that's what he's looking for at this point. Do you have anything going on you want to plug before we go ahead and wrap up the show up, Mr. Webb?
No, just you can interact with me on Twitter. My handle is my name at Richmond Webb. I'm on Facebook, but I think I'm about out of friends. So basically, Twitter. I normally follow people that follow me, so it ain't no big deal. So. Yeah.
Well, look, you got us on Facebook, all right? If you want us to poke you, if you want us to post funny articles, we're more than happy to do that for you.
Okay. Richmond, I got 2 of my boys from back in Florida. I grew up in Florida.
What part?
Mark Gamble and Tom Whiteshoe Santinello. He wore number 12 in high school. He loved Joe Namath. And I said, Richmond Webb's on tonight. And they said, we're in there. So we got 2 new listeners because of you. Thank you.
He asked you where you grew up?
Hollywood.
Oh, you right there. Okay, yeah.
I was right there. We were far enough from the Orange Bowl, and we used to drive down there and park in people's yards for $10.
That's the good old days, yeah.
Yes, sir. Or we'd go to the furniture store and take the bus. But we're looking forward to going a week from Sunday, and hopefully will we see your jersey in the team store, Richmond?
No, not in the team store. You'll see my name. They got most of the current players in the team store. You'll see Marino. I think they got Zach Thomas, and I think they got Jason Taylor because I was there for the Colts game and went in the team store and I saw those. But yeah, you'll see those. So they got some good ones you can choose from down there. Old school.
Yeah, Lewis almost got thrown out of the Hooters for what he said during the Colts game. So that's cool. He was like he was there. All right, Richmond, this was fun. You know what? You're welcome on anytime. You let me know anytime you want to come on. I'll step aside. You and Lewis do the show. You can talk about Hollywood. You can talk about Halloween candy, whatever y'all want to talk about. I'll take the night off.
Plus, I'll bring Mark Gamble and Tom Santinello on with us, too.
Yeah, that means nothing to him. He has no idea who it is.
He knows who it is.
We can all hang out. That sounds like a plan. We can all hang out.
My man. All right, this has been episode 165 of Beer
Thank you,
Sports
Richmond.
Whatever, proudly displayed on the Around the Block podcast network. Go Fins Up. We're going to get a win. I feel it. I feel good. I feel really solid. All right, Fins Up. Gig 'em, hook 'em, go Cougs. It's 6:36 and OU still sucks. And the Houston Astros are still your 2017 World Series champions. Y'all have a great night and a great week. Peace.
Thank you, Richmond.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.